Elon, I think, is speaking a little bit earlier than he probably should have because he dropped some pretty major Cybertruck updates recently that are changing the entire lineup and confirming a lot of suspicions people were having. So first off, get pumped for this one. Tesla will start production of the Cybertruck with a new variant that they weren't even previously taking reservations for. Yeah, even before they wiped the order page from all of its details. Elon is now saying they're making a 4-motor version that will have independent, super fast, super responsive torque changing, which basically means the Cybertruck is going to be a beast off-road and have a lot of those same advantages we saw with the Rivian R1T, and I would love to think that Rivian may have had an impact on Tesla's decision about this, because they realized if you have a dedicated motor to every single wheel, not only can you do tank turns, but you can also go in extremely tough terrain and have the vehicle motors change depending on what you're driving over to get the most amount of grip, and of course it's electric, so it'll do all of this silently, which is really, really impressive. But overall, does this mean that the Cybertruck should be faster? It's certainly possible, given Tesla has not talked about doing quad motors in anything other than the Tesla Semi, which I think is understandable, given they want it to be, capable of going over 60 miles an hour up a very steep hill with a full payload. 4 motors there makes a bit of sense, but with something like a pickup truck that's much, much smaller than a Tesla Semi and also towing far less payload, it's weird to imagine how much faster you can actually get with this form factor. And my theory is that the quad motor decision was not based on better performance, better acceleration. I think it was mainly for better traction control and the fact that the Cybertruck is so big, and likely that 500-mile range option is gonna be fairly heavy because it has to pack around a fairly huge battery on the inside. But if you've seen teardowns of Teslas and how small their electric motor is, even on the Plaid options, which kind of have 2 motors in the back attached to themselves, they're probably just going to take those motors and put them in the front, and given the size of the Cybertruck, I'm guessing this extra motor is really not adding much to the overall weight. It's not like it's going to be substantially less efficient than the tri-motor design that they were originally talking about, which at this point, I'm not entirely sure if it'll ever be made. This is kind of a confusing aspect of this report because someone was asking like, okay, Elon, what's going to go on with the tri-motor? Is Tesla ditching the single motor option? Like, what are these tiers supposed to look like? And his response was basically product roadmap update on the next earnings call, which he's already told us before, which once again restores hope in my view that Tesla is planning some kind of Cybertruck update with a refresh and updated look, updated pricing, updated specifications to come out in January. Very similar to how Tesla dropped the Model S and X refresh in January of this year. Sure, it took some time before they were actually able to deliver those refreshed vehicles, but Q1 is typically a seasonably weak quarter. That's when sales go down a little bit. So if you're going to make new announcements and get people hyped for upcoming products, perhaps January is a good time to do it because you've beaten the holiday rush. You're through that really, really tough 4th quarter of the year, which is usually where Tesla delivers most of their vehicles. So January is a good time to kind of keep everyone updated with, hey, here's what we're planning with the Cybertruck. Here's when we think production will begin. But Elon didn't stop there. He also went on to say that the rear wheel steering option will indeed allow for a crab mode where all the wheels can point in the same direction and the Cybertruck can move diagonally, which the more and more I think about all of the changes Tesla has made with the Cybertruck, this absolutely warrants another event, like where they announce all of the changes they're making, and we still never really got a concrete answer from Elon on whether or not this production Cybertruck is going to be much smaller than the prototype, which I think if it is, it'd be best to set expectations sooner rather than later. And I'm personally trying to understand why Tesla would need a tri-motor and quad motor option. The reason I think Tesla doesn't do that many rear-wheel drive vehicles is because they know the dual motor system allows for really great regenerative braking. The motors themselves don't take up much weight, they're not that big, and it's not really that expensive for Tesla to include additional motors. So to have a tri-motor Cybertruck that's really, really fast and goes really far, but just doesn't quite have the same traction control as the quad motor, do they need to manufacture both? In my view, I'm predicting Tesla is going to notice that a very, very small percentage of Cybertruck reservations were for the single motor and just decide that all-wheel drive should be standard on a pickup truck of this class, especially given the F-150 Lightning is standard dual motor. All-wheel drive is a given for that vehicle, and the Rivian R1T, all of which are rocking quad motors already, which people are seeing all the benefits of that with the first deliveries. So it doesn't really make a ton of sense for Tesla to make a single motor Cybertruck as much as I may want it, and I would love there to be super duper cheap options. The truth is, the battery pack is what's most expensive, and taking out out that extra motor in the front probably doesn't really save them that much on manufacturing. So for simplicity's sake and being able to scale production, like Elon said, I'm confident they're going to start with the 4-motor option, and I predict that anyone who reserved the tri-motor will have a place in line for the quad motor, and that may get slightly better acceleration, but for the most part the range is still going to be around 500 miles. 0 to 60 will be under 3 seconds, which is still insanely good, but I don't know if a truck needs to go substantially faster than that. They'll start off with that for a few months, and then maybe a year or 6 months later they'll introduce the dual motor option, which will still be much more expensive than they originally thought, given, you know, the long-range Model Y dual motor was estimated to cost $51,000 at unveiling, and today at the end of 2021 it starts at $59,000, partially because of inflation, partially because of insane demand, but the Cybertruck is not immune to either of those things. So I think the dual motor Cybertruck will still beat 300 miles of range, but I do expect it to probably cost over $60,000 just due to inflation and the insane demand involved with the Cybertruck. They're going to charge whatever they want because they know every one they make will definitely sell. In fact, there will probably be a lot of people trying to flip Cybertrucks as soon as they get delivery of them. As far as pricing for the quad motor goes, it's kind of a toss-up because since Tesla never came forward with the official specifications of the quad motor Cybertruck, they can kind of get away with charging a lot more and no one can really complain because the specs are likely going to be astoundingly good. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if the towing capacity goes up a little bit, and I'm also genuinely excited to see Elon say that the quad motor will be first because that implies that likely the highest range option will be what they begin with, meaning Tesla could have a 500-mile range EV out and available by the end of next year, which is kind of exciting, and it's a big electric truck. Out of all of Tesla's vehicles to hit 500 miles first, it's funny that the Semi and the Cybertruck are likely top of that list. So acceleration could be better than promised, the torque could be better than promised, and the towing capacity and the payload capacity might all be better than promised. So typically when that's the case, Tesla ends up charging a lot more than what they originally said, but that doesn't mean I think it's not worth it. I still think the Cybertruck, particularly now that it's going to have one motor on each wheel and rear wheel steering, plus we know it's going to have the next generation full self-driving computer, not the ones they're using in all their vehicles now. Fairly confident it will be powered by AMD Ryzen chips since they've already started that transition. It won't have door handles, it'll have self-presenting doors. I'm still not exactly sure how that works, but it'll have the most durable exterior of pretty much any vehicle ever made, plus the 4680 batteries, game-changing performance for any truck, an insane amount of cargo space with a 6.5-foot bed and that vault that covers it. So durable you can actually walk on it. Like, sure, this quad motor might be $80,000 or $90,000, but there will literally be nothing else on the road that can touch it. And that doesn't even mention the upgraded cameras that are likely shipping with this thing, as well as the supercharging access that no other electric pickup truck currently has access to. Because of the complications with the Tesla connector and the CCS connector, I know Tesla is starting to open up the superchargers in Europe, but I have a feeling in the US it's going to take way, way longer than we think. And I'm just really, really hoping we can actually see deliveries of this game-changing vehicle by the end of next year. Now that Giga Texas is looking more and more complete day by day, I think that 2022 could very well be the year of the Cybertruck, where we get our major upgrades and design refresh unveiling at the beginning of the year, and Tesla says our goal is to get this up and running and actually start deliveries of these by the end of 2022. That would be an awesome timeline, and I hope they can reach it. When do you guys think Cybertruck deliveries will begin? Feel free to let me know down below. Thank you to everybody on Patreon who's helping me save up for my Tesla as well, and to everyone else, I appreciate you just for watching. It seriously does help out a lot. Take care and have a great day.